Welcome to Real Estate Investing for Women. On this show, you will learn how to create wealth through real estate the blissful way. That means with very little stress and very little time. We talk about strategies, mindset, heart set, money smarts, resources, and so much more to ensure you're able to create the success you most deeply desire. Now, here's your host, Moneeka Sawyer.
Today, I am so excited to welcome to the show Eng Taing. It's such a great name, and I keep hoping I'm going to say it right. CEO and founder of Touzi Capital and highly experienced real estate investor with $100 million in assets under management, Eng works hard to help people reach their full potential. Eng is an economist by training from the Wharton School of Business. He also has experience leading data science and analytics at Apple, Capital One, and AT&T. He applies that experience when identifying and underwriting investment opportunities and markets. Eng has presented at companies like Apple, Facebook, and Amazon, where he teaches employees how to minimize their tax burden and keep and invest more of their earnings so they can achieve financial freedom. Touzi Capital is a real estate investment company focused on investing in Kansas City who believe that your money should work for you. Touzi Capital has been investing in commercial real estate for many years and trusts that this is one of the best ways to predictably build wealth through passive income. Touzi Capital focuses on high cash flow investments and providing passive income to investors by acquiring and optimizing multifamily, industrial, and senior living assets. In doing this, they want to make a real estate investing accessible for the everyday investor through a technology and data-driven platform, along with our dedicated team that puts you first. Hi, Eng. Welcome to the show.
What a mouthful. Hi, Moneeka. I don't even know who wrote that.
It's so funny, right? You're listening to your bio, you're like, is that me?
I wanted to give you notes. I was like, no, just change that.
That's right. And it's so funny. There's so many words in this, since I know you're kind of a business tech guy. Data or data, Touzi or Touzi, like all the words. Yeah. I'm like, oh God, am I saying this right?
Data versus data. It's always something that just like, because I've been a data scientist.
Right.
But we use data.
I know. And those of us that are not in that world always mispronounce it. So I'm sorry if I did. Anyways, so talk to us a little bit about your real estate journey. How did you went to Wharton Business School and then you moved into real estate. Tell me how that kind of worked out for you.
I would love to take a little step back to sort of my formative years, if I may, yes. Really highlight why I got into real estate and how, and, I think especially why is really more important, I think, for me. So I was born in a refugee camp in Thailand. My parents are Cambodian and we escaped the Khmer Rouge. Lots of interesting stories of hiding in jungles and hiding in walls and a lot of hiding and escaping, some pretty terrible stuff. It's more my parents' story. I did grow up in LA and I grew up very poor. I grew up with not really having much, but I grew up very lucky of having been growing up in America, being fortunate enough to be really good at math, be fortunate enough to have a family that, put a roof over my head, and to really not see what I didn't have, and to have enough hunger to drive me, to really been my biggest why. And hopefully that's a lot of your audience's big why, to help provide security and financial freedom in whatever form that means to your family. And that's been my biggest driver. So when I started to really get really good at math, I gravitated towards investment banking because that's like the thing people did in my age group. Everybody said, let's go get investment banking. Let's just make a bunch of money, be a stock trader, whatever it is. So I did all that, really good at math, understanding data patterns. And what I found about myself is I did not like the volatility, the up and down, the movement, checking the market. I went through the financial crisis. I helped cause the financial crisis. Sorry. When you when you book $4 billion of subprime assets, that's probably not a great idea. But seeing that side of things and seeing that and really seeing the value of these houses go down, that's how I first got into my first real estate investment at the young age of 23. Lucky enough to have capital to deploy at the time. I remember it very clearly. It was like $125,000 investment or purchase price, so $30,000 purchase price investment to get $1,000 a month in net monthly income. And I really like that feeling of just having monthly predictable income. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I'm hiding a little bit of things of like all the things I had to do with painting the house and remodeling it and getting tenants and some tenant issues. But in general, that's how, when you come from so little, you having just a little bit of security gives you a lot of confidence. Mm-hmm. And my story isn't a story of getting into real estate and just doing real estate. My story is of someone who have always tried to do a lot of things and had a side passion for real estate, and now is evolved to a main passion of my full-time job or my business. But it's always been a side hustle. And for me, probably like some of your audience, you work 9 to 5 and you buy real estate. For me, having that passive income really helped actually make better decisions. I was able to go to the Peace Corps when everyone in my cohort went to MBA. I met my wife in the Peace Corps. I was able to take bolder career decisions of asking for more, of not having a fear-based life of financial insecurity, of saying, I can't, go for this job or make this counter offer. And that helped because I was buying real estate every year and having that little base of support grow and grow, where I know that I didn't need to have much to survive. But having that on top of everything else I was doing really gave me more freedom of choice and agency. So long story of just how, all these formative things helped me get into real estate, as well as why I'm doing more real estate and why I love sort of preaching the choir of real estate. And it's also very tax advantage. You probably hear a lot of people invest in real estate and not pay taxes. So I love talking about that as well.
Nice. Wow. So I went out to lunch with my mother-in-law yesterday, and I told her I'm not sure what's going on with me, but I am getting teary-eyed with everything that's happening around me. It's not everything, but things touch me so deeply this week. I'm not sure what's going on with that. And just hearing your story about being a refugee and running to Thailand first and then escaping to the United States. It's a very similar story of my parents who had to flee from Pakistan during the separation because they were Hindu. So they were being chased with, they had the clothes on their back, and they ran across the border and stayed, they had these big houses in Pakistan, and in India, they had 15 or 18 people living in a dirt floor shack. So, I know the story. I never had to live it. They came to the United States and then had me. But when I hear these stories, you just realize how insanely lucky we are here in the United States. And what I wish is that people understood that luck and that it did not deter from their drive. Because I think the other thing that happens is that as immigrants, or what you've seen, how old were you when you actually moved to LA?
3 years old.
You were 3. So you probably don't remember too much of that struggle. It's still, as little people, we still get the subconscious impact of that. But your parents brought you here and they had this drive, right? They wanted to create safety for you. And you got to see that. And then that helped you to build that drive. And I think sometimes us immigrants or those of us that come from immigrant families have this huge advantage of understanding what it could be like if we were not here and we didn't have this opportunity. So that just touched me so much, and I wanted to say thank you so much for sharing that story.
You're welcome. And I that was the purpose of sharing the story. I love to share my story. My story is my parents' story. My story is a lot of people's story of not just immigrants or refugees, but of people who don't have much, but still, I fully fundamentally believe it's a lot of mindset.
Yes.
And having
absolutely.
that mindset to be grateful for what you have, for what you can have, for your health, for all the stuff. I know my son Aiden is probably gonna grow very spoiled. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know how to not spoil him. I kind of want to have fun too. I want to buy him all the toys. But I have pictures of me and at his age chasing chickens in a camp.
Yeah.
So different journey. But yeah,
but I think you're right that mindset is everything, and you got a mindset from your parents, and you've inherited and developed your own mindset, right? That mindset will then hopefully it will impact your children, and it impacts the world around you. I mean, everything that we do is done through the filters of our own eyes that are affected by our own mind. So if you come from a filter of gratitude, everything that you see will be of gratitude, and living that life helps our children to understand it and see it. I have to say, my parents, even through all they went through, were so grateful. They were so grateful to be here, so grateful for their children, so grateful for their opportunities. And that's a big reason why I'm so grateful for everything too. So I totally understand what you're saying. That mindset piece is huge. And I'm sure no matter how spoiled your little one is, he will get that from you too. So yeah. No, he might be chasing chickens, but he might be doing it like park, right?
Yeah. I think that's what rich people in San Francisco do nowadays. They just buy a chicken coop in the backyard. Right. Like the sign of affluence. I got chickens and fresh grown eggs.
Well, it's come full circle, right? Like how interesting is that? But you're right. It's not just an immigrant mindset. I mean, and I really thank you for emphasizing that, is that there are a lot of people that come from a place where they were not very privileged, or they had very, very, very little, right? Very little, or they were in really bad circumstances. And through the change of their mindset, through drive, through being able to have a vision of what might be possible, they're able to overcome that and create a life of freedom and choice. So I actually just released my TEDx talk, which is called "Who is the Boss of You?" And it's all about economic freedom to give you choice.
Yeah.
So I love that. Yeah, we're on the same wavelength on that. Okay, I could talk to you forever, but let's move on. Let's talk about real estate specifically.
Yeah.
So talk to me about your favorite investment class, asset class.
So I've really gravitated towards senior living as a great asset class. And for those who don't know, senior living has many varieties to it. You have nursing homes, you have independent living, you have just adult, 55 plus, you have assisted living. And I'm squarely in the middle of assisted living, where folks, our elders, our residents, and I really think they're the greatest generation, and they've contributed so much to this country. And they're 85 plus is sort of my target demographic. I love to invest in places where you have strong fundamentals, an asset class has strong fundamentals. What that means is there will be a lot more old people in the future. That's just the demographic shift that is known quantity in America. The silver tsunami, the growth of this aging population that will need more care, that will need more, better communities and better facilities to take care of them. And why I love this asset class, and I'll compare this to multifamily because I do have both, is it's both a business as well as real estate. Real estate has so many great intangibles, you're renting, you also have depreciation, you have leverage, all these things that real estate just gives you. But you also have a business, which essentially for us is an all-inclusive resort. where our rents are typically 5 times the amount that you would pay for a comparable apartment. So you have 5 times revenue, but you have 3 times the costs. And that comes from making sure that you have, meet 3 meals a day, all this stuff. And it's really just by creating community. And I love thinking about creating community and how we can give our seniors the best community, as these are the retirement years. These are the years that they, and they will stay for probably the remainder of their lives. And what I like compared to seeing multifamily is that typically it's 3 years is the average length of stay. So once you get somebody in, they're staying for a while. And because we do private pay, not Medicaid or Medicaid, Medicaid or Medicare, we know exactly that they can afford these next 3-ish years. And overall, they are income resistant, right? In the pandemic, you can lose a job, you might lose your income, you might go into unemployment. Our tenants are, I would like to call recession resilient. They don't have an income. Mm-hmm. They have the money already. They probably put it out from their funds. They're using this for the last remaining years of just making sure they're in a really great place. So I've gotten deep into senior living. The reason why I got into senior living is because I just love cash flow. I invest for cash flow, and I've been investing in California until it didn't make sense. And I always am a nimble, flexible person. I don't want to just be, this is what I'm doing. I will only do that. I'm never going to do anything else. And while you will learn expertise in that thing, but if the market shifts, if California gets more expensive, which it had, if it gets more regulated and rent control, which it has, and if multifamily becomes more expensive, which it has, then I can't get the same kind of cash flow that I'm used to, and I'm spoiled. I like to spoil myself with double-digit cash flow, and our investors as well. So I will chase after good asset classes that there's a good moat around. When I say that, like when I started, I bought something that's very approachable to me, because I was like, I didn't have any guidance of how to buy real estate. I just said, let me look on this site, which they didn't have sites back then, and figure out what to buy, and do the math myself. So that's pretty good at math. I can figure it out. But as you go into it, like, if more people can do what you're doing, that means the returns aren't as good. It's going to be, it's going to be just more competitive. So what you want to do is get to more uncompetitive areas where you can create a moat of competitive advantage. And senior living is a huge moat. No one's going to go figure out like, hey, I want to invest in senior living nowadays. Hopefully after this podcast, maybe some of your audience will. But it's definitely a great moat. Lots of people in the space, but not as many as it should be. Lots of communities that are thriving even during COVID. And I think when I think about what I want to continue to do from investing overall, is I just love investing for cash flow. And I say cash flow versus appreciation, even though all our assets have appreciated. That's just what happens to assets, especially when the government prints a lot of money. When all that, I like to invest in cash flow because I can get that money now and then compound it or invest in many different things. When you invest for appreciation, you're like planting a tree and then it becomes a big tree. But then that's very risky if you just have one tree. But when you're investing for cash flow, I like to think of it, you plant a tree, then you got a forest. And you can invest all the cash flow into many, many different things. And then having high cash flow, I mean, double digit, meaning if you put $100,000, you get $1,000 a month. That gives you freedom to do a lot of different things. That also gives you a lot of buffer. Because if you're just investing for appreciation, I don't want to say negative things about other types of investments. I do both. That's money that you got to put into it every month. If you lose your job, you might not have that cash flow from that property to cover the debt. And so cash flow investing for me is always a big buffer of safety. I'm always thinking of like, how conservative, how safe can I be, and how much money can this investor make so that it pays for itself and pays for all my other investments.
Mm-hmm. So for senior living, I love the way that you talked about that. And I talk a little bit about, California is an appreciation market. Usually you're going to have negative cash flow, which is now everybody's like, don't ever have, like it's the bad word, right? Don't do that. So there's, when you have an appreciation market, you're usually not going to have any kind of cash flow. Sometimes you'll break even, or if you hold for a while, maybe, but there's different ways of investing. And it is good to consider those different, like, what are your goals, and to pick a strategy accordingly. So I love that you're so clear on exactly what you were wanting. So talk to me a little bit about, with senior living homes, what I have heard, because I've looked a little bit into it. Of course, I'm very curious about it. I've got a lot of elderly family members that have been in homes. I hear a lot about like insurance issues or stuff, not insurance like medical insurance, but insurance as in insuring the home. That's a very, very, it's its own big thing that none of the other asset classes have. Have you found that to be like a particularly big challenge, or what do you think about that?
I think of it as just an added cost, which baked into the revenue, and your NOI and your OpEx expense is baked into it. It has more costs, as I said, 3 times costs. You have licenses you have to get. Oftentimes not medical license, but it's just when you open anything, you typically have a license. This nature. But we're building single story communities where you typically have 80 to 90 people in that community. And we have many different layers of liability protection, both from having insurance, which can be costly, but it's baked into the cost, to also a management company, which we would either own or third party, which would have the liability of all the HR, because it's really a people business. It's just having people and taking care of people. And so that you want that liability off your investment, and so you really have like 3 entities when you're investing in senior living, versus when you have multifamily, you might just invest in your own name. You might have umbrella insurance. You could do an LLC, but if you're in California, that's $800 a year. So I know.
That little plug. It's funny. Yes. So it is a little bit more complicated, right? But it's just part of like, once you get to know that business, you know how to handle those things. Right?
I love complicated things.
Oh,
it means that, I love to figure it out, and then maybe someone else won't do it because it's complicated, and then they won't do it, and there'll be more for me. That's great.
Got it. And so there's 2 other questions I wanted to ask you. First of all, I do want to talk about opportunity zones and how that fits into this. And I know that we're going to talk more about that in extras, so we will get there. But the other question is, do you invest in homes and take other people's money to invest in them? So for instance, if I wanted to invest in senior living, but didn't want to have to learn all that stuff, can I do it through you, right?
Yes, that's exactly what we do. And I thanks for bringing that up, because I will say all these complicated things, and hopefully you do something. One of the things you could do is at least know that Touzi Capital, I'm here to provide you an option to invest with us and participate in the same cash flow that I've been talking about, the same stuff, without having to sign the loan, without having to get the insurance, without having any liability, because you're not even on any of the paperwork in the core liability business, that we take care of everything, that all the headaches of hiring people and all that stuff we're taking care of. And we're doing this at scale, so that when you're doing anything 10 times, you just get better at it. So it's something that I appreciate myself. So yes, love to have anyone potentially participate in investing with us and growing with us.
Nice. Thank you for that. And so, ladies, as you know, we will be asking him how to get in touch with him. But that's one of those things you might want to talk to him about. If you have an interest in senior living homes, instead of learning the whole game, right? You could have a piece of your investment portfolio with him and make income passively. So that's a possibility too. Talk to me a little bit about opportunity zones. We're going to do the deep dive in extra about this, but just give us a little like high level, because I know that several of your properties are in opportunity zones. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah. So we're developing 2 properties in opportunity zones. One's in Jacksonville. We're breaking ground this month. In fact, I'm going to be flying over soon to the ribbon cutting ceremony. You know, one of those hard hats and photo ops. State senators and congressmen around, providing jobs. I love opportunity zones and what it represents. What it represents is a new law that is passed during the Trump tax cuts, where if you know the letter of the law, where you know the tax code, you can reduce your taxable income. Which what that means is you can keep more of your earnings. Ladies, gentlemen, you work hard for your money. Keep more of your money. Use all the things that all the rich and wealthy people and investor class use all day. Opportunity zones is a great opportunity because for my audience, we have a lot of folks who have a lot of stocks. You know, I come from Apple, and they make a lot of money from stocks. And when you sell stocks, you have to pay capital gains. Mm-hmm. In fact, when you sell almost any asset, you pay capital gains. That capital gains is taxed. And for opportunity zones, it's the first class of investment that you can essentially say, I'm not going to pay that, not now. Pay that later, put that money into an opportunity zone. If you owed $100,000 of taxes on capital gains, don't pay that, pay that later. Deferral, right? We defer of taxes all the time. That's a great strategy. That's all real estate, basically. That's why people mostly do real estate. You do 401ks because you want to defer taxes in the future. So you defer taxes for 6 years, so not too long. And then you reduce it by 10%. And then if you hold it for 10 years, it's quite a while for any real estate investment, all future capital gains gets eliminated. So you don't have to do 1030 exchange. You don't have to do anything like that. So compared to a non-opportunity zone investment, and I do have both, if given the same number of returns, say 12% each annual returns, the opportunity zone would give you more than 50% more money at the end of because you would have free money going in and free money going out. And so basically like a Roth and a 401k. I can go into the detail on that too, but basically if you can, don't pay taxes. And there's ways to do that. Even if you're a W-2 employee, if you're working hard, there's many ways. If you're investing your money, investing in opportunities, investing in places that the government is saying, hey, invest in this place, you will get a great tax benefit. And these places sometimes are great places to build senior living communities. So that's what we're doing.
Got it. Okay, good. So you totally piqued my interest. So I would like to do a deep dive on that in extra, where you can talk a little bit more about how that actually works, right? Because you gave a high level like I asked. But yeah, I want to hear more about that, exactly how that works. So ladies, we'll be talking about that in extra. So definitely stay tuned for that. Okay, before we go to our 3 rapid fire questions, tell everybody how they can reach you.
All right. You can reach me at our website, Touzi Capital, TOUZI capital.com, and reach me at email, Eng, E-N-G, at touzicapital.com. I am always happy to talk about taxes, about real estate, about investing, about, just financial freedom. It's all things I'm passionate about. I have YouTube videos, I have a TikTok. I got opportunity zones viral. I don't know, it's 1 million views viral for opportunity. But
I don't know. That's awesome though.
Yeah, so I love talking about it. I love and what I really love about this space, compared to everything else I've been doing, and I've done a lot, is just talking to people, seeing people in the journey. I've learned so much by talking to people. So if you're trying to do anything, this networking, this relationship building is really key to success.
Perfect.
So go ahead to the website.
Yeah, good. So he gave you his email address. Why don't you give that to us one more time?
Eng, E-N-G, at Touzi Capital, TOUZICAPITAL.com.
Great. And that will be in the show notes also, ladies. So that definitely get in touch with him. He's very generously offering some of his time, which not very many people do. So definitely be respectful and kind. And if you're interested in this topic, definitely give him a call or give him an email, send him an email. All righty. So Eng, are you ready for our 3 rapid fire questions?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. Give us one super tip on getting started investing in real estate.
I get this question a lot. How do I get started? I think it's kind of, I hate saying it depends, but what I always say is get started, just do it. I think a lot of people just think, and I think too much. I think all the time, and I'm very analytical. I think getting started is going to be the best way to learn. And that's like a non-answer, but basically, if you're short of money, find somebody who has money. If you're short of time, find someone who has time. Partner with somebody. Those 2 things, time and money, will allow you to get into real estate. And I think for anyone who, there's so many technologies nowadays. You can use Redfin, Zillow, all these great applications that I didn't have when I started. That really helps to get into it. So just get started. You will fail. You will learn. It's all the same. It's going to be a great journey.
I love that. And then tell us one strategy on being successful in real estate.
I think the big strategy that I've came to is really value your time. At a certain point, your time is worth more than, and so if you don't value your time, then you can create processes or decisions that is going to keep you down in the weeds of quagmire, figuring out how to evict somebody or do this or that. And while you have to do that in the beginning, if you're trying to be really successful, that means you're trying to do this a lot. You're not just trying to do this once and get lucky. You're trying to do this 10 times. So think about what you want to do 5, 10 times over and figure out how to scale. And that's why, for me, it's always been about going up and scaling. And knowing that getting loans at multi-million dollars is easier than a $100,000 loan, and I didn't even need the income for it. I just needed to have that experience. So scaling and thinking about how to do things multiple times is always a great strategy to be successful.
Perfect. Yeah, scaling and systems, right, that can conserve your time. Mm-hmm. So that's really amazing. Okay, and then what is one daily practice you would say contributes to your personal success?
So I do fasting. I'm intermittent faster. So that's a little bit of me not having time and not eating breakfast. I'm not really eating breakfast, but that I'll tell you that I used to eat a lot when I was working at a corporate job. And I loved having lunches and all stuff. But what I found is there's so many great health benefits of fasting for me. Not for everybody. But for me, it was giving me a little focus during the day to have black cup coffee and then getting into my routine. And that has, I think, helped me really focus on the task at hand every day.
Nice. I love that. Nobody said that on this show. Thank you for that. Well, Eng, this has been fabulous so far. Thank you so much for joining us for this portion of the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And ladies, we've got more. We're going to be talking about opportunity zones and how it can save you in taxes and capital gains and all that cool stuff. I'm super excited about that. So stay tuned for extra if you are subscribed. And if you are not, but would like to be, go to realestateinvestingforwomenextra.com. You get the first 7 days for free. So you can download this one and whatever ones you want to listen to and just kind of check it out. So it's realestateinvestingforwomenextra.com. For those of you that are leaving us now, thank you for joining Eng and I for this portion of the show. I look forward to seeing you next time. And until then, remember, goals without action are just dreams. So get out there, take action, and create the life your heart deeply desires. I'll see you soon. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you'd like to find out more about how to become a blissful millionaire, go to blissfulinvestor.com. See you next time.